Hi, Aquarius. This is Jeffrey. This is Ripecolor. And I am going to do a reading for the new moon in Libra, which is the Friday. So, everything's approximate. Like, oh, Friday, this is going to happen. And, it's like, it doesn't really work like that. Anyway, so it's like a mid to late October reading. So it's basically, give or take, from the 13th, that's just today. Well, yeah, okay. From the 16th through about Halloween. So please like, subscribe, share. I always forget to do all that stuff. Press the button for notifications, blah, blah, blah. And here is your 3-card reading. People make the strangest noises in the whole. It's very strange. Okay. 2, 3. Big reading. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there could be a legal thing going on, or very interesting. Wow. Well, you have justice in the middle. It's Libra season. You have justice in the middle. The interesting thing about justice, I always find in this particular deck, is that she's not blindfolded. She's not blind justice. She sees. She sees the whole situation. She has the scales. There's definitely wisdom there. There's definitely illumination. You also have the King of Wands, who's also a judge. You also have the King of Wands, who's also a judge. So I think actually what actually is going to be going on, and then you have the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords is about completion. And it's also, swords are about thought and intellect and, messages, but more to me, it's always about thought. You're going to have this, it seems like there's going to be this really big insight into maybe the way you think, or the way you approach things, the way you observe things. There's going to be like a self, I don't necessarily know if it's like an outer thing. For me, these readings are always inner. I always feel like I'm reading to the individual for, it's very hard to do general readings, but it feels like there's this sort of illumination, like things suddenly become clear about, it could be, it could be a lot of things, but either a creative project, or like the way you approach creativity, or the way you approach your passion, or, yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, all of a sudden you see, like, oh, I put too much energy into that, or I don't apply myself fully to what I really want to do. I feel like there's a definite illumination coming through, like a real understanding, and there's like a way of thinking or a way of doing things that you realize is no longer valid, or, you know, it's kind of like it's like, I don't know, this is a weird example, but like Kodak owned the camera industry. You know, Rochester was basically built on it, right? And then, you know, it started going digital and it started going, and they weren't, like, they were so busy hanging on to the way things were that they didn't foresee the future, right? This happens to a lot of businesses. They're not current with, like, oh, well, it's going that way. You know, like, let's say you have a, I don't know, a clothing, you know, clothing. You have a clothing store and it's like, this is the year for tank tops. And it's like, and you didn't buy any. And all of a sudden it's there and you see all your competitors and everybody else selling tank tops and you refuse to give up your V-necks. It's like, well, you're not going to have a good season. You need to, like, roll with it. You need to, like, be clear about what's going on, not what you want to go on, but what is going on. And I think, like, there's a way of thinking that you're going to get clear on, that you're like, oh, this is, you know, it's kind of like 5 years ago, if you said, I'm going to get a job in the hotel industry, sounds like a great idea. You know, last year, if you would have said, oh, I'm going to get a job at an airline, sounds like a good idea. I'm going to get a job at retail, sounds like a good idea. Well, you know, things change. Things change, and you have to be able to change with the changes. And also, you know, you're an Aquarius, so you know, you have a different way of looking at things. You have a different, if everyone's playing a drum, you'll make something else into a drum, and or you know, that's percussion, and then you introduce strings. It's like, oh. So I think, like, you're going to be able to balance. Feels like you learned something that you're going to be able to actually use. And, you know, sometimes what you learn is what not to do. Sometimes, like, that's the important thing to learn. Sometimes the answer is no. So sometimes, you know, you learn through that, and then it's like, okay, well, we're not going to go down that road. However, there's one little piece of it that actually works. So let's use that. Yeah. You're going to be able to, what's the word? Like, see your way through the swamp in a way, you know. It's like, oh, okay. And the other thing too is, Justice is very interesting because she's sitting, a few cards do this, quite a few, but she's sitting between the pillars, right? And the pillars, there are a few cards that show up with the pillars, but the pillars represent the dark and the light, and they represent the kind of the understanding of both and the acknowledgement of both, you know, because you can't see a clear picture unless you see day and night. You can't see a clear picture unless you see the whole picture. You know, there's something to be said for seeing the sun, and there's something to be said for seeing the moon. And, you know, it's kind of like clarity and imagination together make a whole story. And I feel like there's, there might be something that you need to let go of, or to move forward from, that, you know, wasn't necessarily, it's not like you have to shut the door completely. You can have it as an experience and understand it as an experience, and kind of like stitch it into the cloth in a way. Like stitch it into the cloth and it becomes part of the whole thing. And then, and through that, and sometimes, you know, it's about letting go of an idea completely, but you learn something from it. There's always something to learn, you know, and if you look at it like that, then you are progressing, even though it might have felt like and seemed like, oh my God. It's like, well, I'll never open that door again, or I won't walk down this street again, or I won't be involved with this person or this situation again. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. You know, it's good to know. It's good to know what doesn't work. So I feel like you're going to have an idea and understanding about what doesn't work and how to balance it into a new way of thinking that's more clear, fair. Yeah, very interesting. And for two judges to show up, right? Two judges, a male and a female. Very interesting. You know, so, you know, there's a balance that you have the opportunity to achieve if you don't get caught up in what didn't work. Because what didn't work is information. It's information. You know, it's good to have all the information. You know, it's good to have all your tools in front of you, right? To know up front, it's like, well, this didn't work. It's good to know. It's really good to know. You know, instead of like, I have a drill and it was, I don't know, it was kind of acting out yesterday. And let's say I had a whole construction project and it's like, well, you better check out if the drill is actually really working and, you know, whether it like, it needs a little glue and it doesn't glue, but, you know, before I get started. Instead of, you know, having all my ducks in a row and then having this piece that doesn't work, it's like, you know, take out the screwdriver, etc. So that's my take. Very interesting reading. And I hope you have a lovely end of October, or mid to end of October. And like, subscribe, share, blah, blah. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you soon.